I think there's a How Money Works about something a little lighter. It's about how OpenAI might go bankrupt, and we all want that. And apparently I'm featured in it, so let's watch it. How Money Works. We haven't reacted in a long time. Our bromance is back. What's going on with How Money Works? You know, I think I've talked about Sam Altman. I think on Lemonade Stand at the beginning of the year, I said OpenAI is the dark, beating, corrupt heart at the heart of this AI bubble. I said, if anything, I think AI is a transformative technology. I think it is going to change the world for good or for bad. It's going to be important and powerful. But I think OpenAI is the center of the fucking circle jerk of money being passed around.
Has not been having a great year, as it completes its metamorphosis from a nonprofit organization operating for the good of humanity to a shareholder-focused company gearing up for one of the biggest IPOs in history.
Yep.
It has come up against some, teething problems. It is facing legal challenges over the fair use of intellectual property, legal challenges over its governance,
Hey, not to do another fucking unpaid Claude shill, but I found out that Claude, you know, when you're typing a chat message to Claude or like to an LLM, they don't have to tell you that they're training on it. They train on that data and they save that data. OpenAI keeps that in its servers forever. No, anything you say to OpenAI, it's forever. They have it. Claude, you can opt out of anything. And if not, the default is 30 days, which is like a massive difference. Yeah, so I thought that's like, yeah, just a nice fucking, you know, all the shit that OpenAI says it's trying to do, I feel like Claude actually does. Not they're like bastions of morality. I think they're just better.
All of this wasn't helped by its willingness to embrace what many see as war profiteering, further straying away from their original stated goal in order to chase revenue wherever it can find it. Because, well, I mean...
Dude, it's fucking crazy. If you go far back enough, there are quotes from Sam Altman saying, "We will never work with the military, and we will never run ads." And now they do both. Like, if you're gonna have principles, it's just crazy. Like every step, and the reason he's doing it is so obvious. Every step of the way, they keep peeling back their principles because they need money. That is the reason. Not that they want money. It's not even just greed. It's that they need money because they are going to hit a wall.
All of this is on top of the biggest and most immediate problem of all, which is that OpenAI is simply burning billions of dollars every month on top of trillions of dollars in future spending commitments with no clear answer for how it's going to get that money.
I mean, we talked about it, I think the clip that is just so beautiful of it, it's the clip where the podcaster guy is interviewing Sam Altman and asks and glazes him for 45 minutes and then says, but just a couple questions. How are you going to raise revenue to you know, handle this $1.5 trillion in commitments? And then Sam Altman gets so pissy. He's like, "Hey, if you want to sell your shares, I'll find you a buyer."
You know, how can a company with 13 billion in revenues make 1.4 trillion of spend commitments? You know, and you've heard the criticism,
First
Sam.
of all, we're doing well more revenue than that. Second of all, Brad, if you want to sell your shares, I'll find you a buyer. I just, enough. Like,
it's such a banger clip because it's like, you got so defensive so quickly.
It's also becoming less clear exactly how world-changing this technology really is going to be in the first place, putting more question marks.
Yeah, I think this is, people have been quoting this forever. It's now been like almost a year since this study. I think it's a little bit overstated. I'll be honest with you. I'm gonna get some pushback, but this study was like the very first wave of companies trying LLMs at all. And they just had everything was fucking useless. And now it's been a year. The shit's gotten better. Some kinks have been worked out. And some companies are seeing productivity gains. I'm not saying AI is a miracle. I'm not saying AI can do your job. I'm just saying the new versions are better. They just are. They hallucinate less, they do more, and they're better. And they can be used for productivity gains. I don't know how to say it. Like, some companies are seeing it. I'm seeing an example. And this doesn't necessarily have to be a horrible thing. It probably will be in the short term because of the way our fucking system is, but it doesn't have to be. Like, technology should make things more efficient.
OpenAI, alongside some other big names, have now become so valuable in private markets that if they do all go public this year, their collective weighting could legitimately break the stock market.
Hey, is anyone watch this? Does anyone know he talks about DeepSeek in here? Because one of the big AI stories right now is that DeepSeek 4 is about to release. I think you guys may remember from a year ago, a year and a half? No, it was mid-24, I think. There was this big DeepSeek shock where the markets really panicked because DeepSeek came out and it was like almost as good as ChatGPT, but it was open source. Well, DeepSeek 4 is coming and it's supposed to be, multimodal, really fucking good, open source, and this time trained on non-NVIDIA chips, trained on Chinese chips. And if this comes out in a month, within the next month, it's like a big, holy fuck, wait a minute. Is everything that we thought was a moat not a moat? And again, these models from China, I'm just being real, bro. They have their own innovations too, but a lot of it they just take from, by the way, these companies also steal from Claude or from OpenAI. They prompt it with questions and they use the answers to distill the weights. But if that's possible, I don't give a fuck about the morality of this, but if it's possible to use prompting to basically catch up to a leading AI model and make it open source, then how does anyone make money? How does anyone make fucking money? They're all gonna be commoditized. And if that happens, fucking well. Like that changes the whole paradigm. And I think that's coming. So I think we could see another DeepSeek shock, bro. I think it would not surprise me if DeepSeek 4 comes out and it is verified as being trained on non-NVIDIA chips. People are gonna freak out.
About China.
That raises a lot of questions about how OpenAI employees feel about this.
Workers using AI are...
By the way, it's a two-way street, by the way. If there was like an AI advantage from a Chinese LLM, I'm sure that OpenAI and Claude or whatever would distill off that. I think the bigger question is like, wait a minute. If you can always like use prompting to steal the weights of a model, then how do they have a moat? How do they like lock anything down? I think that's the big question everyone's fucking asking. Because you're like, wow, I just spent hundreds of billions of dollars on this. And then another guy put it out for free and it's basically the same. And it's like, what's the plan?
Brad, if you want to sell your shares, I'll find you a buyer.
There it is. Okay, wait, I mean, that's not the full clip, but okay, that's the one I'm talking about.
Ever before.
Brad, if you want
This is my favorite clip. He's so petty. He's so pissy.
By the business fundamentals alone, yeah, it doesn't look great. But to these mega investors, the case for OpenAI can continue to be
AGI.
justified so long as four things remain true. Now, unfortunately for them, out of those four variables, there are only three that the company can really control. It has to maintain extremely strong user growth, preferably amongst users that are actually willing to pay money for the service. It has to demonstrate that those customers will actually stick around to be profited off of, and it has to remain a viable contender for the long shot bet of developing genuinely.
This is the main one. I mean, again, like they said, they've heard the arguments. And I think internally at places like Meta or whatever, they're really starting to question like, damn, are we really going to spend this much fucking money again on an AI that's not leading? But the truth is, they all think that if you get super intelligence, then it's GG, insta win. The world changes forever. And so it's like, I'll scam whatever. I'll say whatever. I'll get my stock. I'll pump my stock, whatever. I just need to get it. I just need to build the shit now. But if it doesn't happen, and there's a lot of reasons to think it won't, then you're left with these massive, massive bills. Do people realize that government will seize AGI if it's finally developed? Another great point. I think the fucking Palantir guy made this. He's a crazy fucking coked out guy, but he did make a good point on this, which is like, if you legitimately think we're going to wipe out every white collar job and and not get nationalized, it's like, of course you will. Like, if AGI comes out from Google and it can do every human's job, like, you think the government's not going to step in with guns and take that over? Like, you're going to make a profit off that? It's AGI. It's more powerful than God.
But the trend is that since very early generative models, the cost per token has been having 2.7 times over every single year. The only reason why spending has increased so much overall is because OpenAI and its competitors are spending a lot on training larger, more capable models, and we are just using a lot more of these tokens overall. Collect.
Yeah, I mean, it's what they call it, Jevons paradox or whatever. As it gets cheaper, people use it more. People just find more uses for it. That's what's gonna fucking happen. Like, it's not.
This is also ignoring the long shot bet that OpenAI is, or at least was, the front runner for developing some kind of superintelligence with capabilities worth tens of trillions of dollars. A lot of real experts on this topic have pointed out that this kind of scenario is extremely unlikely to happen. But even if there is only a 1 in 1,000 chance, if that investment could pay out 10,000 times over, it's still a good bet. Especially if the backup plan is merely becoming one of the most valuable SaaS companies in existence.
Well, okay, no, okay. I think he's putting an optimistic view first, but it's like saying, shoot for the moon, you land among the stars. But the two options are not either we make AGI or we're a very profitable SaaS company bigger than Netflix. The third option is that it's a crash and burn, that you make massive promises that you cannot fund and then you go bankrupt and take the market. You know what I'm saying? Like, the third option is very important, and that's seemingly the most likely one right now, because they're not public, so you can't see. But I would be surprised if they massively grew subscriptions this quarter with what happened with the Claude switch and the mass uninstalls. And
it's a great story that almost makes it sound like these big tech CEOs may not be intentionally lighting their money on fire after all.
I
but
went too
before
early.
you personally get your checkbook out, it's time to learn how money works to find out why this
You have to stop putting the intro at 8 minutes in. How money works. This is my first feedback. The intro needs to be in the first minute, bro. I feel like we're already halfway through the video and you're like, time to learn how money works.
It's not just the companies that you hand your data to willingly that you need to worry about.
Check out Incognito.
Incognito, they
Check
handle
out
cost by
Incogni.
piece of your personal, can't steal your works or your personal data back. If you are not up to speed, the brief summary is that Anthropic, the company behind Claude and OpenAI's chief rival, pushed back against the Department of War over using their technology for fully autonomous armed drones and mass surveillance. Now, we are already a long way beyond Asimov's 3 laws of robotics here, but many people were still willing to give credit to Anthropic for doing what you might reasonably consider to be the bare minimum.
I agree it's the bare minimum, but I want to say, like, the reason I kind of caped for this a bit is that a company with a profit motive and deep pressure from the government doing the bare minimum of holding their principles is like unheard of. Not like even in Trump, like in like recent decade, like them saying, hey, I know you're going to have the full weight of the government trying to pressure us. I know that you're going to cancel our $200 million contract that we need the money for, but we're still not going to do it. I was shocked. It genuinely shocked me.
Now, I respect your time, and I know most of you are probably already up to speed on this. But if you do want more details, I will leave a link to some articles in the description, as well as some great detailed commentary done by Mr. Glizzy Hands himself.
Hey!
Now, the whole situation is very interesting.
Hey, my goat. Thank you for the shout out. We love how money works, don't we, folks? We love how money works. I always said his intros are appropriately timed. We love the intros. He always gets us with the intros.
Following this episode, a lot of people are actively boycotting OpenAI's products and considering alternatives, with the biggest winner so far being Anthropic itself.
I'm not fucking kidding. I think Claude's better. I just think it's better. Like, it wasn't even a hard boycott. I used Claude for like a day and I was like, wait, this is like, it's just better. The answers are better. It doesn't glaze as much. I like it a lot. It's fucking good. It's just a better product. Claude is the first model that made me realize my job is done for. I've heard that from some people, bro. It's not that I think it's AGI or anything. It's that I think most people aren't honest with how much of a normal human job is like basic pattern matching and a relatively simple task. Like most white collar jobs are like pattern matching, you know, like make one decision based on information that you're ingesting and then do an asking. And that is doable at the current stage of LLM. Like maybe, I mean, especially like a year from now, I'm more spooked than people that say like, oh, this will never do anything. And a lot of jobs are that. I'm not saying everyone's going to tell me about your specific job that can never be done with it. And I agree. I'm sure your job is different. But I just know, like I remember, here's what I say. I remember my first job. That's why I think it's hitting Gen Z and younger people the hardest. I remember my first job at Twitch, my first real job, my first like big boy corporate job. I got lucky. I got the job at Twitch. I was 20 years old. Okay. My job in those days was to write the email newsletter for Twitch and to handle the front page streams. Both of those things not only can be done with Claude now, but it does them 50 times better than I could do it at 20 years old. Like genuinely one prompt better than what I could have done. And it does it faster. It doesn't sleep. It doesn't. So these are real jobs that I did that gave me a foot in the door and helped me start and learn and meet people and get connections and move up the ladder. And this job under the new technology would no longer exist. And so I, of course, get more scared than people that are like, oh, it doesn't mean anything. Because I know for a fact that my experience would have been different if I graduated now and tried to do the same thing. They don't need a human to do that job anymore. And they did at a time, which gave me a foot in the door. If there's no entry-level jobs, how do people get experience to replace the seniors? That's the question. That's the great question. And I don't think it'll genuinely, I guess I don't know, but I'm hopeful. I do think it'll be an adaptation and it will create more opportunity. But the time in the middle, companies don't care. They panic first. They cut costs first. I think we'll figure out how to use humans and do more stuff. But I think the middle ground is so spooky because people would rather cut costs. I will say one thing though, and I do believe this, haters be damned. I think it's one of the best learning tools for people that actually want to learn that's ever been invented. I think it's one of the greatest learning tools that humanity has ever created in the history of mankind, if you actually care. if you really want to learn, if you want to like challenge yourself and if you want, especially like learning about history, and I think it's incredible. It's one of the best learning tools I've ever made. Shockingly, it's making students dumber than anything else. We created the best learning tool of all time, and it's making students dumber faster than anything else. It's actually shocking. The outcome is so negative for what the potential is so positive. It's wild. Yeah.
Competitors have capitalized on this by releasing tools to make this switch between models as seamless as possible, even for users who had a lot of custom trained data built up with OpenAI. This has hit 2 of the 3 stories that OpenAI needed to keep.
I do think that'll change though. Maybe some people can confirm. I heard, when this Pentagon thing first happened, people were downloading their profile or their data from ChatGPT, and they could send it to Claude, and then it would keep their profile. ChatGPT and companies, they're gonna start locking this down, because I think the thing that will differentiate LLMs in the future is like the profile you've built up with it. Kind of a weird thing. I think it's so crazy, but society's changing. People will be like, this one talks to me a certain way, or it's got my history, or it knows my data. And that stuff gets locked down, and people will not want to switch, which will allow them to shitify and make money. I think there's a potential of that. Like, even if DeepSeek was just as good and free, people might stick to the one they like because it knows your preferences or whatever. It knows I think that's like a realistic outcome. It's like Spotify. It's like Spotify, or even like iPhone and Android. Yeah. Where it's like people have kind of been frogging a boiling pot on some Apple product as it got more expensive, but they're like, we can't leave it. I'm used to everything. Oh my, everything's in there. Like, you just can't, even if you could find a solid phone that's just as good, that's switching has a huge cost.
If a highly skilled developer spends 2 years at OpenAI and then moves to Anthropic, they are going to bring with them some level of know-how about how to develop similar capabilities. Now, obviously, these people will be under very strict non-disclosure contracts, but even without copying anything directly, these programs are ultimately the product of the people who designed them, and a whole lot of stolen intellectual property. But we don't talk about that part out loud. These knowledge leaks make it more likely that AI will just become—
That's the thing. I mean, everyone's given the same roast, but it's like every time an AI model complains about China stealing their weight, it's like, bro, you trained on so much stolen shit. Like, everyone knows. And it's just obvious. I mean, it's just everyone knows. And there's just been no honor among thieves. Everyone is in a race to train on all data at all times. Like, specifically, I remember the example of Meta, where they had their engineers rent a room off-site, off-campus, so they could download petabytes of stolen book files and feed them into the machine while not being technically on the clock or employed or on— it wasn't on Facebook campus. And it's like, bro, and then you're gonna go out and complain someone stole your shit? It's like,
If AI does become a universally accessible commodity, then all of the money they have spent building their own capabilities may have been a waste. But at least the cost cutting made possible by this technology could still help their core business function.
I think what's really funny though is that AI, like apps, like platforms, like media, it's gonna be, a winner take most market. Somebody's gonna win. Even if we agree with these companies that it's gonna be a big deal and one of them's and the rest of these 4 is going to lose. And they spent hundreds of billions of dollars to get nothing. These will not all have an even market share. Everything that has a scaling law like this is a winner take most. Like, there's one big player, a few smaller players, and the damage that'll be done to the other ones is, I mean, XAI is just, what a joke, I think. There's no network effect. I disagree. I think there will be a network effect. Number one, they'll train on conversations. So if you have the biggest user base, then you are recursively training, which is fucked up, but it's true. And then people are gonna find ways to integrate connection with other humans somehow. I think being the biggest platform will have snowball effects, but TBD, we don't know, I guess.
For a company like OpenAI, if they can't monetize the technology itself, they are in big trouble, especially since they have made some of the most significant upfront investments to develop this whole industry in the first place. An analogy that has been thrown around is that they are like a cheetah that has used a lot of resources to hunt down this new technology. And now that they have, the bigger, slower predators can come along and steal the rewards without having to use as much energy of their own. Now, of course, it
does feel like Google is doing this, by the way. Google showed up years late to the OpenAI fight and is just fucking sucker punching them. Like, they're not gonna run any ads. They have way more money to spend. They have TPUs. They don't have to buy NVIDIA chips at the same level. How do you realistically win long term? Plus, They're the only one that can train on YouTube videos. I mean, everyone's going to steal and do it, and they do, but the way Gemini works with YouTube and all, it's like, it's way better. I do think Google is like the fucking dark horse favorite, realistically.
But the ultimate light at the end of the tunnel for a lot of these early investors, as well as the employees paid in company stock, is to take the company public so that they can cash out their positions to the general
cash
public.
out. I'm gonna make a call. I think the IPOs this year are the top. I think if we have $1 trillion SpaceX IPO, I think they launch, they skyrocket up, and I think that's the top. This is a comical thing to say, and it's not a serious prediction, but I'm saying it anyway because I genuinely think there's historical parallels. I think it was like a few months after, forgetting which IPO it was, but back in .con that I read about 2001, and there was a massive IPO 6 months before the recession in 2007. It's like, it signals peak euphoria is these big, gigantic, forward-facing IPOs.
Going public means that the company leadership will be subject to a lot more regulation about the stories they are allowed to tell.
Yeah.
Altman in particular has gained a bit of a reputation for making big promises about the financial potentials of his businesses, including those that he ran before.
I mean, you have to be on, when you go public, unless you use a fucking SPAC, if you go public, you have to reveal the finances of your company, how much you make, how much you spend, revenue predictions, like on a granular level. And, I think it will be more obvious that it's like, oh, fuck, this thing is a money-burning pit.
OpenAI has made promises that financially cannot afford to keep for technology that is no longer special, being offered to users that are moving to competitors, and talent that is being spread around to higher bidders that come with less reputational baggage.
Right.
As these problems have caught up with the company, it has tried things that are looking increasingly desperate in order to keep the numbers moving in the right direction. Goonbots, integrated advertising, and questionable military contracts may have introduced additional revenue streams, but they made all of these fundamental challenges even worse. It sounds bad, but I guess we should talk about how this company might break the stock market. So despite all of these problems, OpenAI could still easily be the largest IPO in history. After the most recent $110 billion investment, the company claimed a pre-money valuation of $730.
Again, they said before they wouldn't do this. Now they're doing it. They're adding like an adult mode because apparently the one area they're bleeding users to grok is like the spicy mode for fucking, and so they have no principles, bro. They're just doing whatever.
As a closer comparison, when Facebook went public in 2012, it put up 15% of its stock to raise an inflation-adjusted $22 billion. A similar offering from OpenAI would be 5 times that. Now, the market is obviously a lot bigger today than it was 14 years ago, but the majority of net share purchases are now done by companies themselves buying their own stock. An IPO this big would represent a significant—
Just pause real quick and give a LOLW to Apple. For this whole time, while every other tech company is spending $1 bazillion, they just keep spending all their money buying their own stock and sitting there. They basically just said, we're going to wait out AI and pump our own stock. They're just sitting on cash, just billions and billions in cash just sitting there. They also had this is a separate topic. I should do a different video on this, but did you guys see the new MacBook Neo? It's like a $700 laptop. It's like coming for the throat of like every fucking PC manufacturer. The Chromebook market has like been the biggest growth area for, like a Dell. What are the other ones? Like, what are the Southeast Asian ones? I'm blanking all the names. They're coming for them. HP, Asus, Acer. Yeah, all those companies are like freaking out. Apple's coming for their throat, dude. That's, it's not a product for me. I understand that. I know there's a lot of Apple haters, and I'm guess one because I don't use their products, but it's a dangerous product, dude. Yep.
Index funds from companies like Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street automatically adjust their holdings to weight their indexes proportionally to the value of the companies within that index.
Dude, I cannot wait till everyone's 401k has to buy fucking 5% Tesla, 5% SpaceX, 5% OpenAI. Just put everyone's fucking retirement on red, dude.
Now, nobody really knows exactly how these challenges will play out, including the company themselves. But unfortunately, the trend is towards a majority of this risk being dumped onto public investors, or just the public in general. If these companies fail, they could bring down the market with them. But if they succeed, it will likely be because they were used to displace a large share of the workforce. If the optimistic outcome is a majority of human work becoming redundant, go and watch this video next to find out why these very same tech bros want you to have as many children as—
Wasn't a happy ending, but a great video. Thanks How Many Works for making that. Yeah, it's spooky, but I think The thing I'm most skeptical about in the AI story is OpenAI. You know, it's like, hey, maybe this shit'll work out for you business-wise, but not for you. And I point to Sam Altman, bro. I legitimately think that company is lighting money on fire, is borrowing like crazy. It doesn't, you know what I'm saying? I could see Gemini pulling it out. I just don't see it for